Have you ever stopped to wonder where new things really come from? Like a brilliant idea that pops into your head, or a skill you suddenly pick up, or some wild new invention. It often feels like they just appear out of thin air. But is that actually possible?
So let me ask you this. Can you genuinely get more out of something than what you put into it? Can an effect be greater than its cause? It's a huge question, and today we're going to unpack it. And I gotta tell you, the answer might just change how you see, well, pretty much everything.
I mean, you've totally seen this happen, right? A friend who could barely draw a stick figure is suddenly painting these amazing pictures. Or someone you know who couldn't carry a tune to save their life picks up a guitar and just gets it. It feels like a brand new ability was just magically downloaded into them. But where did it come from?
Okay, or how about this one? Picture a box full of gears and springs and little screws. On their own, they're just junk. None of them can tell you the time. But you put them together in just the right way, and suddenly, boom, you've got a clock, an object with a completely new, really complex function. So again, where did that time-telling power actually come from? It really feels like we just created something more out of something less.
Well, it turns out that both of these head scratchers, these puzzles, can be solved by understanding one single, super powerful idea. It's kind of like a golden rule for how reality works. And trust me, once you see it, you're going to start seeing it everywhere. And this is it. This is the big idea. An effect cannot exceed its cause. Now, it sounds simple, I know, but the implications are absolutely massive. What it really means is you can't get something from nothing. Whatever you end up with, whatever comes out, had to already be there in some way, shape, or form. To make that abstract rule super concrete, just think about this. If you have 1 cup of tea, you can't pour a gallon of tea from it. It's impossible. The output is limited by the input. Now, that's totally obvious when we're talking about tea, but how in the world does this apply to our puzzles, like a new skill or a working clock? So let's go back and tackle that first mystery, the person who suddenly has a new skill. How does our golden rule explain something that looks for all the world like it was just created out of nothing? So here's the problem, right? Before, the person's ability is, let's say, a 0. And after some practice, their ability is a 10. I mean, that looks exactly like getting a 10 from a 0. It feels like it completely smashes our rule, that an effect can't be bigger than its cause. So what's going on? Is it just magic?
Well, the answer is that we're not looking closely enough. That new skill isn't something that was added from the outside. No, it was always there as this hidden, untapped potential. It wasn't created out of thin air. It was actualized. It was brought out into the open.
Let's go back to our tea. Imagine a pitcher with 1 cup of liquid tea, but also a 1 cup block of frozen tea, ice. Now, at first, you can only pour 1 cup out. It looks like that's all you have. But you just wait. Let that ice melt, and suddenly you can pour a grand total of 2 cups. See? The extra tea didn't come from nowhere. It was already in the pitcher, just in a different state. The potential was always there. That new skill you see in your friend, that's the melted ice. Okay, so that totally solves the talent puzzle. But what about the clock? That feels different. I mean, the gears and the springs don't have a frozen time-telling function that's just waiting to be melted. So how do we explain the appearance of a totally new function?
Yeah, this is the real heart of the second puzzle. The very purpose of the clock seems to just materialize out of nowhere. The property of telling time, it just does not exist in that pile of parts. It really, really looks like the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, which sounds like it breaks our golden rule.
So to solve this one, we need to bring in this really cool concept, the idea of affordance. Affordance is this idea that an object's function isn't just a property of the object itself. It's also about how we, as people, intuitively see and understand what it can be used for. A chair affords sitting. A doorknob affords turning. So what that means is that the function of telling time isn't some magical property that gets zapped into the metal pieces when you put them together. It's a quality that we recognize in the final assembled object. The function really exists in the relationship between the clock and a person who understands what a clock is for. But that still doesn't quite solve the whole puzzle.
Because here's the other crucial piece. That clock didn't assemble itself by accident. The parts were chosen and put together following a specific design, a blueprint. The potential to become a time-telling device was right there in that plan from the very start. The result wasn't a surprise. It was just the actualization of an idea that already existed. So the cause wasn't just the parts, it was the parts plus the blueprint. And now the effect doesn't exceed the cause.
So when you put all of that together, what you get is a really powerful new way of looking at the entire world around you, from your own abilities to every piece of technology we create. And here it is, the big takeaway. Whether we're talking about a skill that's been lying dormant inside you, like that frozen tea, or a function that's just waiting to be built from a blueprint, nothing is ever really created from nothing. Every single new thing that comes into the world is just potential. An idea, a capacity, a design finally being made real. And that leaves us with one final and kind of mind-blowing thought to chew on. If everything new is just potential being unlocked, then what potential is sitting around you right now, in you, on your desk, or in the back of your mind, just waiting for the right moment or the right blueprint to be actualized?